It was a chilly spring morning in Boston, with crocuses swaying by the window in the May breeze. Amy Collins was preparing breakfast while suffering from shoulder stiffness. Moving around the kitchen with her large 8-month pregnant belly wasn't easy, but she smiled as she gently placed her hand on her rounded stomach. "Good morning, my two beautiful ones." David embraced her tenderly from behind. His arms wrapped around Amy's swollen belly, gently trying to feel the baby's movements. "David, you're still here. You'll be late for work," Amy said. "It's fine. I don't have any important meetings today, and you and the baby are my top priority," he said, kissing her neck. "Besides, it's my own company, so no one will complain if I'm late." Even as he spoke, his words contained a small lie. David had told everyone he ran a small architectural firm, but in reality, he was the CEO of A. Morrison International, a large corporation. However, he didn't want his wealth or status to come first in his relationships. Especially with Amy, he wanted to make sure she loved him purely for himself. "Just 2 more weeks until the due date," Amy said with an expression that mixed anxiety and anticipation. "May 15th. I'm scared but happy to think about meeting our child." "You'll be a wonderful mother," David replied while massaging her shoulders. "I know your strength and kindness." Amy smiled, but there was a shadow in her eyes. Her mind had traveled to the past. When Amy was 10 and her sister Brooke was 6, on the day Amy won the county's art competition, her parents had prioritized Brooke's small swimming meet. "You always do well," her father James had said. "Brooke needs to build her confidence." Things hadn't changed by high school. The day Amy won a national student design contest, her parents attended Brooke's cheerleading competition. Amy attended the awards ceremony alone, feeling proud but somewhat lonely as she received her certificate. "Amy? Are you listening?" David's voice brought her back to reality. "Sorry, I was just thinking," she said. "Mom called again yesterday. About Brooke." David's expression clouded. "What happened now?" "Brooke sent photos of her new condominium with Ryan. Mom said, Brooke has really been successful. Building a nice home with such a fine man," Amy sighed. David shook his head. "They don't understand your worth. You're a talented designer who's built your career on your own. And most importantly, you're a wonderful person." Amy smiled. After college graduation, she had steadily built a reputation as a freelance graphic designer. Her parents had initially opposed her career choice, but Amy had stayed true to her path. Ironically, Brooke's fiancé Ryan had once been Amy's ex-boyfriend. During college, Ryan had dated Amy but broke up with her, citing her unpromising career choice as the reason. Then, a few years later, he began dating Brooke. Amy hadn't told her sister this fact. Not so much because she didn't want to hurt Brooke, but because she didn't want to dig up embarrassing memories from the past. "Your parents didn't come to our wedding either," Amy recalled. "It was better that way," David laughed. "They would have expected an extravagant ceremony, but our small wedding was perfect." Their wedding had been a simple affair with just a few close friends. Amy's parents had insisted they should have a proper ceremony at a more respectable venue, and ultimately didn't attend. Brooke also didn't come, saying, "I'd be too embarrassed to attend such a ceremony." That day, the phone rang. It was Amy's longtime friend Jenny. "Amy, did you hear? Brooke got engaged. To Ryan." Amy was momentarily speechless. "Yes. I know. She posted on social media about the huge ring she got. And the venue is going to be the Ritz-Carlton." After hanging up, Amy gazed out the kitchen window. Her home was simple but comfortable and filled with love. The peaceful daily life she had built with David was a treasure she wouldn't trade for anything. Remembering her family's reaction when she told them about her pregnancy, Amy let out a small sigh. Her mother had said, "So you're finally having a child," and quickly changed the subject to Brooke's recent promotion. Her father said congratulations but added, "It must be difficult raising a child with David's small office." Amy whispered to her unborn baby, "You are loved." Daddy and Mommy are eagerly waiting for you. David stood beside her, and together they gazed at the morning sun streaming through the window. Before them stretched a new life and a future they would build together. When Amy was working on a logo design for a client in her home office, the phone rang. It was Brooke. Amy. It's finally decided. Brooke's voice was high with excitement. The wedding date. I mailed the invitations today. They should arrive tomorrow. Amy smiled at her sister's joy and asked, "Congratulations. Where will it be held?" At the Four Seasons Hotel. We'll exchange vows at sunset in the rooftop garden, Brooke continued in a dreamy voice. All the flower arrangements will be white and pink roses, and there will be a champagne tower. Anne. Brooke went on and on about the details of the lavish wedding. Amy nodded occasionally, thinking, that's so like her. Brooke's talk always focused on fashion, decoration, and outward beauty. Oh, and Ryan's boss is coming. He's a vice president at a very large company. This wedding should help with his promotion, Brooke said proudly. Your husband should come too. Even though it's a small office, I'm sure he'll learn a lot. Amy closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Her sister's condescending attitude hadn't changed over the years. David is very busy, so we won't know until the day, she said gently. In fact, she still hadn't revealed to her family that he was the CEO of A. Morrison International. The next day, as predicted, a thick invitation arrived. Amy took out the card from the elegant cream-colored envelope, which had the date and place written in elegant script. Her eyes were fixed on the date. May 15th. That was her due date. David. Amy passed the invitation to her husband with trembling hands. Look. David looked at the invitation and then raised his eyes to his wife. Isn't that your due date? Yes, Amy collapsed onto the sofa. She knows. I must have told her. When I announced my pregnancy, I mentioned the due date. Anger flickered across David's face. It seems they don't consider your pregnancy very important. Surely not, it might be coincidental, Amy said, though she didn't believe it herself. Anyway, I'll call Mom. Charlotte Collins answered on the third ring. Amy, did you get the invitation? Isn't it lovely? Brooke has planned everything perfectly. Mom, the wedding is on May 15th, Amy said quietly. That's my due date. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Yes. Charlotte said awkwardly. But it's rare for babies to be born exactly on their due date, isn't it? They're either early or late. Still, I'll be in my last month. Amy, Charlotte's voice grew cold. Brooke has negotiated with the hotel and vendors for months. This date cannot be changed. I might not be able to attend, Amy said. I'll be either just before or after giving birth. Childbirth only takes a few hours, Charlotte declared. Come right after it's over. It's only natural for a sister to attend her younger sister's important day. Amy gasped. Mom, don't say that. Amy, you always think of yourself first. You prioritize your convenience over important family events. After hanging up, Amy told David about the conversation with her mother, crying. They really don't care about me at all. David embraced his wife, suppressing his anger. You've done nothing wrong. Childbirth is one of life's most important events. People who belittle that are the ones failing as family. That night, Brooke also called. Amy, I heard from Mom. Are you seriously planning to skip my wedding? Brooke, it's my due date, Amy explained in a tired voice. The doctor told me to rest. Due dates aren't reliable, Brooke said in an irritated voice. And there's appearances to consider. All our aunts are coming, it would be strange if only my sister didn't attend. You absolutely must come. I'll think about it, Amy said. She had no energy to talk further. The next day, Amy told her situation to the friends in her prenatal class. They all expressed shock. You're kidding, right? Maria said with wide eyes. Attending a wedding right after giving birth is insane. Your family is terrible, Jessica shook her head. I would never go. After returning home, Amy consulted her obstetrician, Dr. Green. Medically, I don't recommend attending social events immediately after giving birth, the doctor said. Especially for first-time mothers, recovery takes time. Your and your baby's health is the priority. When David returned from work, he took both her hands and said with a serious expression, should I tell them? I could reveal my true identity and make them stop this unreasonable demand. Amy shook her head. Not yet. Let's save that as a last resort. After long consideration, she sent a brief email to her family. Depending on the timing of the birth, I may or may not be able to attend the wedding. I'll try my best, but I can't promise anything. There was no reply. As she entered her 9th month of pregnancy, Amy's body grew heavier each day. David took over the household chores so she could rest, and began making important company decisions from home. David, is your company okay? Amy asked one day. With you taking so much time off. David smiled. Don't worry. Everything is going well. Besides, I have an excellent vice president. While Amy was grateful for her husband's devoted love, she was hurt by her family's cold attitude. One night, she was quietly crying in bed. What's wrong? David asked, wiping away her tears. Maybe I should go after all. Amy said in a small voice. But I'm scared. With a body that just gave birth. I'm worried about the baby too. David gently stroked her hair and said, you don't need to prove anything. A real family would understand your situation. Amy thought deeply about those words. What is a real family? Throughout her growth, she had always tried to gain approval from her family, but always felt inadequate. I've decided, Amy suddenly said. I'll go. But not for them. David stared at her intently. What do you mean? For myself. And I have a plan. Amy's eyes showed a strong determination she hadn't displayed in a long time. On the morning of May 13th, Amy was having breakfast with David in the kitchen. 2 days until the due date. Her stomach was large and taut, and she felt tired with every movement. Hey, David. About the wedding, I think. Suddenly, Amy felt a sharp pain and cut off her words. She clung to the counter and exhaled deeply. Amy. David hurried to her side. I'm okay, probably. She began to say, but the pain returned, stronger and longer this time. Oh. David could see the blood draining from her face. David, it might be labor. The moment he heard those words, David's expression changed. He immediately sprang into action, grabbing the already prepared delivery bag and car keys. It's okay, Amy. Let's get to the hospital right away. Once in the car, Amy grabbed her husband's arm. Don't we need our luxury car? Your and the baby's safety comes first, David said. He had chosen their everyday car instead of the luxury vehicle parked in the back of the garage. Getting to the hospital quickly is more important than hiding my identity now. On the way to the hospital, Amy stared at her mobile phone while fighting the increasingly strong contractions. Should I contact my family? David took her hand. It's up to you. But honestly, I don't think they'll support you at this time. After a long silence, Amy put her phone back in her bag. I'll do it later. Dr. Green examined Amy and explained, labor has definitely started. You're still in the early stages, but delivery will likely be today or tomorrow. But it's 2 days before my due date, Amy said in a surprised voice. That's not unusual for a first pregnancy, the doctor smiled. Babies have their own schedules. As labor progressed, the pain grew stronger and the intervals shorter. Amy tried to hold back screams several times. The nurses offered words of encouragement, and David continued to hold her hand. You're so strong, David said, wiping her sweaty forehead. Just a little more. At 11:57 p.m., after a long struggle, a small cry echoed through the hospital room. "Congratulations, it's a girl," Dr. Green announced. Amy smiled through her exhausted face and held the baby in her arms. A tiny face, tiny hands, perfect lips. She whispered through tears, "Olivia, our Olivia." David's eyes also glistened with tears. "She's perfect, just like you." That night, Amy's cell phone rang. It was Brooke. After hesitating, Amy signaled with her eyes for David to answer. "Hello, this is David." "Oh, David? Where's Amy?" Brooke's voice had a trace of irritation. "There's a final rehearsal tomorrow. I need to confirm something with Amy." David looked at Amy. She gave a small shake of her head. "Amy is resting right now. If you have a message..." "Oh, come on." Brooke made no attempt to hide her anger. "Is she planning to come to the rehearsal tomorrow and the wedding the day after?" "I want her to be clear." David took a deep breath. "Brooke, I'll give you specific details tomorrow. I can't say anything definite right now." "Why not? Is it that difficult?" Really, Amy always thinking only about herself. David hung up. His face showed rare anger. "I really can't believe it. They truly don't care about you." Amy looked at the baby and said quietly, "It's okay, David. I have a plan." The next day, her mother also called. "Amy, you're coming to the rehearsal dinner today, right? Brooke wants to confirm the seating arrangement." When David answered instead, Charlotte asked in surprise, "Where's Amy?" "She's not feeling well and is resting," David replied calmly. "Well, morning sickness should be long over, and even pregnant women can go out," Charlotte said lightly. "She's coming to the wedding tomorrow, right? All the cousins are looking forward to it." "Charlotte," David's voice was ice cold. "We'll know about Amy's condition tomorrow. I can't say anything until then." After hanging up, David sat by Amy's bed. She noticed his expression while breastfeeding Olivia. "You're not telling them yet?" "They won't listen," Amy said quietly. "Tomorrow, I'll make them understand everything." On the morning of the wedding day, Amy woke up early. The hospital had confirmed her stable condition and allowed her discharge the previous day. She stood in front of the mirror, looking at her changed body. Her postpartum body was still in pain and easily tired, but her eyes showed determination. "Are you really going?" David asked worriedly. "You don't have to push yourself." "I'm going," Amy said resolutely. "But on our terms." She took out a special dress from the closet. It was an elegant maternity dress, but designed to fit her postpartum body as well. The deep royal blue fabric highlighted her blue eyes, and the loose silhouette gently embraced her body. "This is the dress I chose," Amy said. Not the family color, pastel pink that Brooke specified. David took out his formal suit for the first time. It was a special suit he wore only for important meetings as the CEO of Morrison International. The deep gray three-piece suit enhanced his dignified presence. "I'll go as my true self too," he said. Amy smiled. "I have a baby dress ready too." She took out a small white dress for Olivia. It was elegant with lace trim and came with a small headband. They quietly prepared, held Olivia, and got into the car. This time it was David's luxury car. A fitting entrance for the CEO of Morrison International, Amy laughed softly. When they arrived at the Four Seasons Hotel, the valet showed surprise at their car. Amy took a deep breath and stepped out of the car holding Olivia. David supported her arm, walking toward the hotel entrance with a dignified manner. At the reception, an elegantly dressed woman was checking in the guests. "Your name, please," she smiled. "Amy Morrison," Amy answered. "With my husband David and daughter Olivia." The receptionist checked the list and showed a surprised expression. "Are you?" Miss Collins' sister. Yes, I am. I see. The woman said with a confused look. The ceremony is in the grand ballroom on the 5th floor. As they entered the elevator, Amy secretly squeezed David's hand. Ready? If you are, he gently kissed her hand. When they arrived at the wedding venue, many guests were already seated. As Amy entered holding the baby, the room fell silent. All eyes turned to her, and whispers of surprise spread. The parents, sitting at the front, turned around, and the blood visibly drained from their faces. Charlotte froze with her mouth open, and James was stuck in a half-standing position. Brooke, emerging from the bride's waiting room, noticed the sudden silence and turned around. Seeing Amy in her wedding dress, she paled. Amy. Why are you here? She asked in a trembling voice. And that baby? Amy replied with a calm expression, but in a voice that conveyed inner strength. Childbirth only takes a few hours. I did as Mom said. Brooke's beautiful wedding dress shimmered like silk, with its lace hem spreading across the floor, but her expression was contorted with confusion and anger. What are you doing? Brooke said in a low voice. Why did you bring a baby? Everyone is watching. Charlotte and James immediately rushed over, trying to lead Amy and her family to a corner of the venue. Amy, you. Charlotte said in shock. When, how? Last night, Mom, Amy replied calmly. As you said, childbirth only took a few hours. At this moment, David entered. His appearance was a stark contrast to his usual modest architect image, filled with dignity and confidence. The custom-tailored suit perfectly fitted his body, and his walk seemed to change the very air in the room. Standing beside Amy, David quietly declared, Let's make it clear in front of everyone how you've been treating your daughter. The guests became increasingly curious about this unexpected drama and couldn't look away. Ryan stood frozen in the front row, pale-faced. Amy, Charlotte quickly said in a lowered voice. The ceremony is in progress. We'll talk later. Please, don't cause a scene. Amy slowly shook her head. No, Mom. I've been silent long enough. Gently holding the baby, she began to speak to the audience in a quiet but powerful voice. Everyone, I am Amy, Brooke's sister. And this is my daughter, Olivia. She was born yesterday. Today was actually my due date, but she came a little early. Whispers spread among the guests. Amy continued. For my family, I was always second best. Even when I won school competitions or graduated university at the top of my class, my achievements were always treated as a matter of course. In contrast, even my sister Brooke's small successes were greatly celebrated. Brooke's face reddened with anger and embarrassment. Amy, stop. This is my day. Yes, your day, Amy said calmly. That's why you scheduled it on my due date. You must have known. It was coincidence. Brooke raised her voice. Because of the hotel booking. David stepped forward. Excuse me, everyone. I am David Morrison. Amy's husband. At that name, a murmur ran through the venue. Ryan's face further paled. Morrison? From Morrison International. Ryan's voice was shaking. Yes, David nodded. I told the Collins family I ran a small architectural firm. But in reality, I am the CEO of Morrison International. James and Charlotte were speechless, looking at each other. Why did you hide it? James asked in a trembling voice. Because I wanted to be valued as a person, David answered sincerely. When I first met Amy, she showed no interest in my position or wealth. She saw me purely as a person. Unfortunately, her family consistently failed to see her value. Brooke suddenly exploded with emotion. Always, always, Amy. Perfect Amy. Smart, talented, capable of anything. I was always compared and asked, why can't you be like Amy? The venue was enveloped in breathless silence. Brooke's confession surprised many. Brooke. Amy said in surprise. I had no idea that's how you felt. You probably didn't know, Brooke continued, crying. I started dating Ryan partly because he was your ex-boyfriend. I wanted to take something from you, to win at least in one thing. Ryan looked up, staring at Brooke with a shocked expression. What? So that's what it was. Charlotte covered her face with her hands and began to cry softly. James dropped his shoulders, seeming to understand for the first time how their actions had hurt their daughters. I didn't come to blame you, Amy said quietly. As she gently rocked Olivia, she continued, I came to tell you what a real family is. Family means supporting, loving, and respecting each other. It's about true bonds, not appearances or social standing. David stood next to her and added, what Amy taught me is that a person's value isn't in titles or property, but in their heart. Those words resonated throughout the venue. Brooke took a deep breath and lifted the hem of her wedding dress to approach Amy. The two looked at each other for a long time. I am sorry, Brooke finally said. I tried to ruin your special day. Me too, Amy smiled. For showing up like this on your important day. Brooke hesitantly looked at the baby in Amy's arms. She's beautiful. She's your niece, Brooke. Ryan stood by Brooke's side, looking at her with a complex expression. His eyes showed questions and confusion. Their relationship would undoubtedly be reevaluated after today's events. Charlotte and James slowly approached. Amy, Charlotte stumbled over her words. We've been terrible parents, haven't we? There's still a chance to make amends, David said. Today could be a new beginning. The atmosphere in the venue began to change. The initial shock and tension were transforming into something new, something closer to truth. Amy smiled slightly and kissed Olivia's forehead. Now, she said. Today is Brooke's wedding. We should celebrate. Brooke wiped her tears and nodded. Happy birthday, Olivia. Voices overlapped and smiles shone. Amy and David's spacious living room was decorated for their little girl's first birthday. Pastel balloons swayed from the ceiling, and Happy Birthday letters adorned the walls. Through the windows, the beautiful Boston skyline was visible, with May sunlight brightly illuminating the room. The Morrison home was luxurious yet warm and inviting. Olivia sat at a small table, curiously examining the birthday cake in front of her. Her hair had a small ribbon, her blue eyes resembled David's, and her smile was like Amy's. The doorbell rang, and Amy headed to the entrance. Opening the door, she found her parents and Brooke standing there with gifts in their hands. Sorry we're late, Charlotte said with a slightly nervous expression. The roads were crowded. It's fine, Mom. We just brought out the cake, Amy smiled, inviting them in. Many things had changed since that day a year ago. Weekly family dinners had begun, and Charlotte was making efforts to build a relationship with Olivia. She now showed a gentle expression while holding her granddaughter that she had never shown before. James stood beside Amy and said in a small voice, It's a wonderful party. Thank you, Dad, Amy replied. Their relationship wasn't fully repaired yet, but James had acknowledged his mistakes and sincerely apologized. Most importantly, he had begun to recognize Amy's talent and strength for the first time. Brooke waved to Olivia. She had come alone. Where's Ryan? Amy quietly asked. He's not coming, Brooke smiled slightly. We've decided to divorce. Brooke. It's okay, she shrugged. We got together for the wrong reasons. He accumulated debt for my status and appearances, and I tried to marry him to take something away from you. Such a relationship couldn't work. Brooke had changed. A new light dwelled in her eyes, and her former arrogance was gone. I found a new job, she continued. I quit the luxury brand and now work at a small gallery. The salary is less, but every day is fulfilling. Amy hugged her sister. I'm glad you found work that suits you. David approached, carrying Olivia. "Everyone, it's cake time." The whole family gathered around the table, watching little Olivia blow toward her first birthday cake. Of course, she couldn't blow out the candles, but Amy helped, and everyone applauded. Looking at this scene, Amy quietly reflected. A real family isn't just about blood ties, but about respecting each other and loving unconditionally. It might take time to completely heal the wounds of the past, but she was ready to build new relationships. Amy now truly understood that love and sincerity, not appearances or social status, are what matter most in life. She looked at David and Olivia, then around at her entire family. This was her precious family. Not perfect, perhaps, but a family that grows, learns, and loves each other.